All right, good morning, early morning. I'm going to start out with Waddy, face of God there, and I want to do a video. I had a great evening with some of my friends and family, and we were talking. And my fear is that all of this going on with me can serve to shake the faith of some of us. And I wanted to talk about that because we know there is a God. And I just want to put a few thoughts in perspective. I was laying there thinking, and I thought, boy, this is good stuff. So I don't know if it'll come back to me, but it was good when I was laying there. So I wanted to share it. Maybe it'll come back and just put it out there. And maybe it'll be helpful, but it's kind of where I'm at, just what I'm thinking. So, sleep. Let's try the evening here. My favorite watch, Seiko Spring Drive. It's got the most beautiful movement of any watch you'll see. You see that? Just smooth, secondhand. It's not battery operated. That's a spring drive, automatic. And these old boots I got when I started collecting boots on eBay. These are old Justin. They kind of beat up alligator belly. They're just so comfortable. My friend Pat Harper helped clean them up, and just love wearing those. I put those on. And what do you do when you're going to talk about God and have a cigar? Hopefully that'll help bring it out. It could have been a Padron. Padron, they used to say the old Eric Clapton is God, right? That was kind of the funny saying, when how great he was. So I got to pick out a great cigar, and I was going to do a Padron, but just a little bit strong, and so they may be the closest. But this one is a Davidoff Millennium. I turned my buddy Rick, onto these. It's not focusing very well, but it's a pyramid. But these are about as close as you get. They're a little strong, probably a little strong for 1:25 in the morning after I've had some cigars, but we'll see how they do. But I definitely could have picked out the Padron 50 or the 40 anniversary. I wasn't going to pick out one of my Cubans because even though I love and I do believe that Cuban tobacco is probably the best tobacco in the world. Some of these Trinidad, the oil de Monterey and all that. I just can't be sure that they're not fake. And I know God's not fake, so I'm not going to take a chance on a video about God and smoking a fake cigar. So I hope you like the hat. The hair, I got hair head laying down, so hats are good for that. Just gonna jump into this here. So let's fire up this Davidoff, and if you allow me to share with me, give me the grace to be able to share with you. And talk about why I know there's a God and why I think you should too, and more will be revealed. So let's get into it. So first thing, I guess, let's see what kind of humidity level we got on this cigar as we light it up. And if it'll stick with me here, it's coming out of the wrapper a little bit tight. Daisy's making some noise over there, and I got my cutter, and we're going to cut this pyramid cigar. It's the annoying thing about pyramid cigars is that you got a straight cut or a safety cut. Makes it a little difficult sometimes. So let's just see this beautiful. Sorry, it's a little out of focus, but see where we're at humidity wise. Wow, there's a God, 71%. So, pretty good humidity there. So here we go. Make sure the camera's on and rolling. And ask God to give me some clarity of thought here as I share, because I think it's important. This is, I guess, I'm not trying to be pompous or anything or preach. But you might say I'm going through a little bit of a unique experience in life, and you might be interested in that perspective. And my friends been coming over and we've been sharing, and I just think it's great so that we can do that. So I wanted to share these thoughts with you because it came up. Lisa's brother, Billy, started this. Billy. And, and everybody's at a different faith journey in their life. We're all developing and figuring it out, and so you shouldn't feel bad, if you think your faith level is less than someone else, or it's not as developed, or you didn't study it, you didn't pray as much as this guy or that guy, It's all a journey, so we're growing, and where we're at, we're going to grow. But Billy mentioned this idea that the situation I'm going through, I guess we'll just throw it out there so you know if you don't know. But I have glioblastoma, terminal brain cancer, and that's from a health perspective, that ranks up there, right? So this is my third independent cancer, and it's where I'm at, but I'm dealing with it. I'm actually in a good space spiritually, but it gives me a different perspective, a different outlook that maybe I can share. And so Billy says, "Boy, this is you're being challenged in your faith. This is and you got to respond." And I understand that perspective, Billy. I do, but. And in some ways, it's true, it is a challenge, but it's not in others, because I know there's a God, and I know God's in charge. I'm going to turn this air purifier off right now. But whether or not I survive this has nothing to do with whether or not there's a God, or whether or not I was worthy to survive or not worthy. Doesn't have anything to do with it. We know there's a God. And what happens to people, what happens in life, is really out of our purview, right? That's in God's lane, right? We got to stay in our own lane. I don't know why things happen. That's the old book. Why bad things happen to good people and all of that. But we're not going to know all that. That will be revealed maybe when we pass through to the next life. We may figure more of that out. But what we do know is we know there's a God. Why? Why do we know that? And why should that give us some hope and comfort? We know that, or at least I know that, and I think you know that, based upon God's presence in our life at different times when we look back and we choose to recognize it. Some say there are no coincidences, there are miracles, and we just have to look for them, right? But there's many, many times in my life that I know God has intervened, And so, based upon that, I know there's God. And why does he intervene sometimes, and why does he not intervene other times? Well, that's a mystery. We don't know, and I think that's beyond our capacity to understand. But I can share with you that there are many times in my life where I knew God's presence was there. And maybe I'll get into that in a moment, but just kind of to tie in on that point, that's different from saying that my faith is weak if I'm not praying to be healed, or that I don't survive this, or that tragedies won't happen in life, somehow that negates the existence of God. It does not. We just don't understand all of those things. And, there's you know, there's pieces of life, you know, we have impact on people when things happen. We don't always understand why, but it's okay, you know. And I think, but one of the things I do know is that during these tragedies, or apparent tragedies, right, where we think this terrible things happen, you know, I've got terminal brain cancer, and I got a, you know, who knows how much time left on this earth, but you know, we can get sidetracked and think our faith is dependent upon whatever that outcome is, and it's not. What I think we should do during those times is realize that that is generally an opportunity to connect with God. You know, I think God is what, you know, father, a mother, loves us, loves humanity, created humanity, whatever this existence of God is. And I think that, you know, God is there to be touched, you know, to be connected with, even more so in trying experiences and trying events in our life. You know, how many times have we had, you know, things that have happened in our life, we had to reach out and ask God, help me, God. And you know, he does not make too hard the terms for those who seek him. And so when you do that, often you'll find you have some connection. And that's a wonderful thing, you know. The mere idea of being able to connect to the spirit of the universe, whatever you call it, is a wonderful thing. And however you get there, I don't know that it matters. You know, I've been blessed with being sort of freed from the strict tenets of Catholicism, you know, where you got to go to Mass every Sunday and do all those things. I mean, you know, use tools that help you to connect to God, whatever that may be. If that's going to Mass and that helps you, and the liturgy helps you connect, it's great. If it's going out in nature, spending some quiet time in the woods, that's an avenue too. That works. If it's hanging out with your dog, you got beautiful Waddy over there, I can see the eyes of God in him. That works, you know. There's a lot of things that, and I don't think God is way more powerful and expansive than some man-made rule or liturgy or something like that. So there's all kinds of avenues that we can connect with God. And the idea is that we try something. We're seekers, and we try to do that. And so if we are experiencing sadness or tragedies in our life, often, for whatever reason, those become mechanisms that we can connect to God. You know, some of us who have had our issues with alcohol have really, you know, got ourselves into jackpots or wrecks or different things, and we've had to surrender and reach out to God, and God presented himself there. And so we can use these opportunities that seem like tragedies to connect, you know. And I don't know that there's any greater thing that we can do in this life than try to connect with God, and then through our fellow beings. You know, they say the cross, it's vertical, horizontal, you know, up, down, me and God, but it's also me and you, you know. And so that's something to keep in mind. And so tragedies illnesses can do that. You know, when I had my liver cancer years ago, the guys at the Thursday Cigar Smokers meeting were just so phenomenal. And I was given then, some 13 years ago, and diagnosed that I was going to die. You know, I had a doctor tell me that go home and get my affairs in order, and keep this place in my lighter. And you know, those guys helped me, and I reached out, and I had an incredible period of serenity and peace, and I was willing he was going to take me at that time. I was willing to go. Didn't necessarily want to go, but I was at peace with it, and that was like a weird. It's like, how can I have this peace? But it's because I was vulnerable. I had to reach out to God. I was scared. I said, you know, I don't know what's going to happen here. God, you know, you give me this news, and that allowed me that grace to reach out and to be helped by others and to connect to God. And I had an incredible peace and serenity. And you know, as somebody said, you know, God said, it's not your time yet. You know, and I was on that, you know, this from terminal liver cancer at that point, and no chance of survival to, you know, having one day, all of a sudden this treatment worked, and the cancer shrunk, and I got on a transplant list, and I literally got a call for a perfect liver match within one day of being on the transfer list. And I got the transfer or the transplant, and you know, that, like I said, that's some 13 years ago, and so now again, God intervening there. Did He intervene there? He's not going to intervene here. I don't know. I don't have all the answers to that, but I know that what I did have is a peace and a serenity because I used that tragic situation to reach out to God and to get help from others, you know, and I think we can do that in these situations. You know, there's a sculpture in Detroit, outside of University of Detroit Mercy, a great Jesuit school, and I think it's called the Homeless Jesus, but I'm not sure. But there's different interpretations of it. And by the way, this bad thing about pyramids, this is a great cigar, but these pyramids, they tend to have a draw issue sometimes because they just go in too tight. So I need to cut it, but I don't know what to do with my lighter, my cutter. Here it is. So, but anyway, up in Detroit, they have this sculpture of a bench with a seemingly homeless guy on it. And then there's somebody else who's like reaching out to comfort or give a hand. And I heard the guys the monks down at Gethsemane Monastery in Kentucky talk about this, and it was a really interesting perspective, right? It was, where is Jesus in that scene, you know? And the monks had talked about it, and they said, Jesus is a couple of places in that scene. You know, the first obvious spot that you think of when you see that, the homeless guy laying on the park bench, and the stranger coming to comfort, is that the stranger coming to comfort is Jesus. And that may be true. Jesus does that. We know from scriptures that, you know, he helped the homeless, fed the poor, comforted those that were, you know, in those situations. But Jesus is also the person on the park bench, laying there. Because that person in Jesus has to give the grace to allow somebody else to help them. And you know, that if we deny other people that grace, that's, you know, we're kind of denying them an ability to connect with God too, you know. And so Jesus in that scene is also the person laying on that park bench because he's allowing this stranger to comfort. He's accepting the help. And so I think when we look at tragedies in life, we have to be both ways, right? Where can we be Christ-like in both of the, whatever's going on in our life? You know, if it's a tragedy, can we comfort somebody? And can we also allow others to comfort us and to share their experience with us and allow them to have that grace to do that? You know, and I thought that was a real cool perspective. And so I think that we sometimes we're we have a hard time asking for help, and sometimes we have a hard time accepting help, right? And so there's grace in both of those things. And so when I'm going through this right now, I'm okay asking for help. I've asked God, your will, whatever it may be, give me some time, give me some clarity. It's a troubling thing, right, to have brain cancer, because I don't know, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm not gonna be thinking coherently, and my brain not gonna work right. So, I ask God, give me some more time here. Let me, keep my functionality. And so far, I think He's done that. I've had some limited other issues, vision, mobility, and headaches, pressure, those type of things. But I can ask for God's help, and I think you should ask for God's help in your situation, whatever it may be. But then I can also allow others to help me, let them have that grace, and part of that, so many people have been coming down, meeting, and sharing, and I like that because I can see that. But one of the reasons I want to do this video was that I don't want you to be discouraged either. Um, just because things don't work out the way you or I want them in our time doesn't mean there's no God and that you should be discouraged. Now, can you be sad? Sure. Do I get sad? I mean, I pulled my eyes out today, yesterday, different times thinking about, probably never going to drive again. I love driving. And my share of speeding tickets. Probably won't ever get another speeding ticket. I guess there's a bright side there. But, and I love practicing law. I had a great career at legal aid. I loved helping people. I think I overachieved for my intelligence level. so those things, made me cry. I see my dog, my beautiful chocolate lab, and how well we get along, and I feel sad about, that I'm probably going to leave him here. Lisa, my sister, who's gone through so many tragedies in her life with her family. It makes me sad, but it's okay to be sad. Cry, let it out, do that. And it's okay to be mad. I get a little mad sometimes too, I think. What the hell? 3 independent cancers in my life. But it's not healthy to dwell on that because that becomes the resentment, right? We don't want to foster or live in resentment, right? It's natural to be angry, to be sad. Acknowledge it, use that as an opportunity to reach to God and to reach to others, but move on. There's a greater meaning here, and I think that can help. I wouldn't have had some of these fantastic experiences I've had lately with, my friends and Dale and joking down, and I'm not thinking like so many people, but just the connections that have been there, without going through this experience. And those connections are incredible, those experiences. So doesn't mean I have to be happy and grateful all the time. I mean, we're human, right? So that is going to happen, but I don't want to dwell on resentments either. I have to work on that. See what's my part in it. How can I do better? And sometimes we just do as good as we can, and that's it's kind of like this cigar. I mean, my expectations are a little more this millennium, but I think it's more the draw. I see it's good. Plus, it's so damn early, and I've had several cigars. So this idea of how do we deal with these things? I just thought it was important to talk about. because I don't want you to get discouraged. You know, and I don't want it to be, um, you know, he needs to fight this and pray that he's going to get through this and survive. And if he doesn't, that means something, or doesn't mean something. You know, we know there's a God. That's number one, important. And we know that we can connect with God. And, you know, I do believe that we're all passing through. You know, life's a journey. We have to treasure it. And, you know, none of us are getting out of here alive. We'd like to have long lives, but, you know, the important thing is the quality of life and the time that we share. And that, you know, that's what it's about. And so, just a little more. I know this is a real long video, but you know, these are just some thoughts that were going around my head, and I thought, you know, for those who are interested, I'll share. You know, so I mentioned too, you know, about how do we know? How do we know there's a God? And I'm going to ramble on this a little bit with some examples of where God has been in my life, and so if you want to take a break or check out, you can. But I'm gonna continue on while I've got some cognition tonight. Plus, I got a long cigar here. So, how do I know there's a God? Well, different times in my life. You know, you know, there's so many things that come to mind. You know, the simplest, one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me in my life was getting connected with the Fellowship of Alcoholics Anonymous. And it's, I think it's true. I've heard people say that years, decades down the road, when philosophers and spiritual people look back at the contribution of Americanism and spirituality, Alcoholics Anonymous is going to be at the top of the list. You know, Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob giving the 12 steps. Just an incredible spiritual program, right? And that program allowed me to get out of myself, to take this incredibly selfish disease of alcoholism and surrender and accept that there was a power greater than me, and to join this fellowship that changed my life forever, you know. And I was only able to do that through weakness, you know, the weakness of having that disease and being a slave to alcohol. And so the program gave me so much freedom, you know, and one of the simple things it did was, you know, I made a few simple decisions. You know, we have those steps. Admitted I was powerless. You know, can't fight it no more. Got to surrender. My life's unmanageable. It was pretty manageable actually at the time when I came into AA. Had a house, a couple of cars, and a lot of stuff. You know, the stuff that we get. But I really wasn't able to manage life without alcohol. And acknowledging that was important, and then turning my will and my life over to the care of God as I understood Him. So that was really a cool thing, you know, and something we just have to look at, you know, where God is in our life, you know, to recognize it. And, you know, it was a very simple thing in the beginning when my first sponsor, Doug, who I love so much, you know, I was having trouble sleeping because I drank every night, and the drinking helped me get to sleep. And he said, get on your knees and ask God to give you a peaceful night's rest. And I thought that was the most simple, preposterous thing. Like, the God of the universe has got everything else going on in the world. It's going to take time to give me a peaceful night's rest. But I followed his suggestion. I got on my knees, and I slept. I had a wonderful night of sleep. And so that was just a little snippet right, where God intervened, and then I didn't drink that night. I didn't drink the next night, and eventually, I now have over 12 years of continuous sobriety, and to me that's miraculous. Somebody that drank every night for many years, and just to have that removed from me. And sometimes that gets removed slowly, quickly, and I took it back before I relapsed after some time. But again, it has 12 years now. But just knowing that God could intervene and do that, change that trajectory of my life, how I was so addicted, and then all of a sudden I didn't. The need for that alcohol was removed, and so that's one spot that I know there's a God who came and did that. There were many times working that program that I saw the existence of God. Whether it was asking for the Holy Spirit, and as the light shined as I was driving down the road and blinded me. That was another time, and then having the grace to go join the Jesuits. When I did, I was working at this law firm, and I was making good money, and the guys were likely gonna bring me in to become a partner in the firm, and it was, but I wasn't at peace with it. I was too wrapped up in the financial and the power trip, and I was able to listen to the Spirit and follow. You'll get these little God moments in life, and it's up to you if you follow them or not. But I went on a retreat, 3-day silent retreat with the Jesuits, and that changed things. I started thinking about a different career path, and I went from really good money, a good job, to joining the Jesuits, working for $30 a month. Now they took care of my necessities, thankfully, but I was given the grace to do that. A lot of people thought I was crazy, and my mother probably knew that this idea of becoming a priest wasn't gonna be in the cards, because there's just certain things with that were going to be difficult, and primarily this idea of celibacy, which hopefully the church is working through that, but that's a whole other subject. I was able to be given the grace to do that. I was able to sell 2 houses, and just move, go to the Jesuits, and then do this incredible 30-day nation retreat out in Gloucester, Massachusetts, the spiritual exercises, and get so much out of that, so much of a connection with God during that, and it changed my career trajectory. I went from this idea of being a firm lawyer, trial lawyer, and those type of things, to really working for the poor, and I was given, I believe I'm still on mission from the Jesuits, and hopefully I'm faithfully going to complete this mission. My spiritual advisor, Father Brian Lehane, said when I contemplated leaving the Jesuits, he said, go be a legal aid lawyer. That's what you're cut out to do. And we can serve God in many different ways. We don't have to be a priest or religious. We can serve God in many ways. And so I was given that opportunity, and I said, Father Lehane, I said, how am I just can't go walk in to legal aid and they'll hire me. No, basically that's what happened. There was a job posting in my hometown, and I walked in. And Sarah took her time to hire me, but she did. So that, and I went into that saying I would have never been able to do that, going from this firm, making good money, getting ready to make even better money, to go into legal aid. It would have been too much. I had too many expenses and bills, so I couldn't have bridged that gap at that point in my life. without going to the Jesuits first, having to sell everything, going to the Jesuits, earning $30 a month, and then coming out and getting, a fairly meager salary as legal aid lawyers. God bless them. Um, but I was able to take that then because it was a hell of a lot more than $30 a month, and I was able to kind of move up in management and have an impact and that type of thing. And I said, I'll stick it out for a year or until God calls me out of there. And it's been some 16, 17 years, and he hasn't called me out. And I feel I'm going to fulfill this mission from the Jesuits to go be a legal aid lawyer, and I did. And I wasn't perfect, but I think I did some good things, and I think it helped some people, and I hope some of the people I've trained and mentored and the people in our community felt that all those things will continue on and sprout. And I find some joy and peace and satisfaction in that. And that, Steve believed in me, and we just kept it going, and it looks like I'm gonna finish that career up, without ever having to leave it, until I just am not, capable of doing it anymore. And so that's a grace, that whole idea that God was able to take me in there. And then I don't have time to get into relationships. I've had my struggles, as many of you know, with relationships, but God has been there, and He's used relationships that I have screwed up to do good things. I don't know why some of them didn't work out. I mean, I do have some ideas, but God has been able to use those situations where if I respond to His grace, after making mistakes and try to do better, and things work out, God has a way of, taking situations and allowing those situations to work out. And there's a grace in that I've been able to see those situations work out in many ways. My first ex-wife, she got remarried, and she's got children and family. I haven't seen her forever, but it appears she's happy. And would have never met that guy and had those children. If we would have stayed together, who knows? And my second ex-wife, I think was always cut out to be a wonderful mother and caretaker, and she gets that opportunity now, and we had some great times together. And then I'd have never met Lisa, who I'm with now, and if these other situations, and Lisa and I have had this wonderful relationship, and our ability to help each other, and have this family of dogs that we have, and these beautiful animals, and so absent my other mistakes, I would have never got here. So there's a lot of grace in that, and I attribute that to God. And I think God has made those things work. Now, where I fight it, I don't see God's light as much, and then I don't recognize that. One of the beautiful things about the Jesuits was that they have this examine prayer that Ignatian suggests, that you look back on your day and you say, where was God's light in my day today? Where did I see God's light in somebody's eyes, or in the situation, the trees, or the dog, or the person that cut me off on the highway, and I decided not to run them off the road, or that I gave somebody grace, or they gave me the grace. Where did I see God's light today? So I should look for that at night when I examine my day, and say, where was it? Because I can miss those times where God's presence was there, and those are important things to recognize. And also look back, where did I block the light? Where was I an impediment to God's light? Where could I have done better? Where could I have shared with somebody and allowed them some grace to help me, or me help them? or do something a little better. We're not perfect. We're all going to make mistakes, but, are there opportunities that I could have done better? And look at that and ask for forgiveness that I'm not perfect, that, hey, I missed that. Help me do better tomorrow. Help me recognize that more tomorrow, and help me grow. So those are important things that I learned from the Jesuits to do that exam. And I don't do it every night for sure, every morning, but sometimes. And don't beat yourself up if you don't pray and meditate all the time, or as much as you should. Just be a seeker. Seek it. There's all kinds of different opportunities. I love these retreats. You get to go on a retreat. I love this Pray As You Go app. I can get on my phone, listen to it in the car. It's just a short little snippet, meditation. But there's all kinds of different things, that you can do to connect, and that's just so important. But all those things are experiences of God in my life. I had times when I was drinking and almost got in so many bad accidents, and I was driving home from Cleveland one night, and it was icy and snowy, and I was on 271 up at Cleveland, and the ice had got so thick that it was blocking my vision, and I'm drunk, and I'm driving a Mustang GT, which is not the ideal car to be driving in an ice storm, and I couldn't get this ice to clear up on the windshield, and I'm driving, and so I reached my hand out as I'm driving to flip the windshield wiper, flip it up so it can smack that ice and clear. Well, flip the wiper over to the other side, and so now I got no clearance, and so I got to stop in the middle of the highway on 271 because I can't see shit, and I don't want to pull off the road because God forbid I get a DUI. I pull off the road. That's sort of a telltale sign for a friendly trooper to investigate things. And so I literally just stopped my car in the middle of 271, and I hurried up and I jumped out of the car because I needed to flip that windshield wiper, and I slipped on the ice and I fell down and I landed on the back of my head and laying flat on I-71 interstate. I didn't pass out. I was able to jump up and get back in the car just before this semi's coming down, Yeah, that's God's grace, He didn't take me that day, could have. God's grace lately, as I was experiencing what the hell is going on with me with this. I didn't know I had a brain tumor. I kind of thought there's a problem, but I was having trouble concentrating, headaches, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Why don't I feel myself? And trying to get into the doctor, but it takes some time. And driving, and I almost pulled out right in front of a semi because I didn't see him because this tumor is affecting my vision issues, and I don't necessarily see what's there. And I had the grace to turn down the radio as I'm driving. I'm stopped at a stop sign, and I'm looking. I got to turn left, and I'm going to turn left, and my foot is saying, "Go, turn left. It's clear." And somehow, out of my ears, I hear this truck roar just at the last minute. It had been coming, but I didn't see him. I drive this Tesla, and these Teslas go like that, right? You hit the accelerator and you're out, and I would have pulled right in front of this truck, this semi, and he would have crushed me. And I would have had none of these opportunities to, have some closure time with people, and it would have been just a horrible event, and that was God's grace. A little voice came out and said, "Don't go, don't go." Michael, my archangel, I've got a picture of him up here, he's had a full-time job watching over me. So, different times, God's grace. Um, going down the Kenai River in Alaska, and on that trip with my buddy Mark, and how many experiences of God we had during that trip. Mark has passed on. He succumbed to this disease of alcoholism, but we had some great times of grace, during that trip. He converted to Catholicism, and we had just incredible experiences of God on that trip. And so you think of those things in your life. Where's God been in your life where he's intervened, right? It just doesn't make sense, right, what happened. It's way more than just a coincidence. And that's how you know there's a God, because whatever it may be, has intervened. We don't always know why. Sometimes we do, but sometimes we don't. But that should give you comfort right there. We know there's a God. Let's get that. Let's settle that one. The whole idea of why does God intervene in this situation and not, and why do people, we're all passing through. None of us are getting out of here alive, right? So, it's going to happen. And I don't know how it's going to happen for me. I think I got a pretty good idea. And there's a grace in that, right? That I've been given this chance to have some closure with things, and I'd like to extend it. If I didn't want to extend it, it would mean that I didn't have a great and happy life. People I love, and dogs, friends, everybody. So of course I wanted to extend, but it's all going to end for all of us at some point. And so that doesn't negate the existence of God. Doesn't say that our faith was not strong enough. It doesn't say that there's not a God, and because we know there is, and we don't. Again, why did the Holocaust happen? Why did innocent children die? We don't know. We don't know all those answers, but we can use those situations to connect with God, to get God's help, to help others, to share our experience. Because I truly believe when we go, it's all about that connection, right? Are we going to go, pass through to the other side, and have that connection to the rest of the universe? I think so. I do. And so whenever we can have that connection here on Earth, those are special moments. I believe Jesus was really trying to emphasize that in his time on this earth when he said the kingdom of God is at hand. Right? You just got to recognize it. And that was one of the big revelations. That it's there and we can recognize it. And so there's Liza. She says, "I'm tired of you talking." And I'm getting a little tired myself. Now she's going to get some water. So I hope that this has had some impact. Long. I don't blame you if you didn't watch it all. We'll continue on our faith journey. Life's a mystery, right? And we get to experience it. And we should treasure the moments that we have. Liza says, "Enough, Daddy." So I'm going to take that as a cue to wrap up here. I'm going to stay away, finish my cigar, shut off the video. I love all of you who've been a part of my life, made my life so special and gifted with your presence. Liza, want to go outside? Come on. So we're all going to go outside. I'm going to go outside. We're going to go out and look at the stars. And come on. And we're just going to continue on, right? We're going to continue on. The next right thing that's in front of us. And we're just gonna, you know, we're gonna try to be good to each other. And we're gonna try to find some meaning in this life. And where we can't, we're gonna reach out to God and we're gonna say, show me the way. And maybe send me a good cigar along that way too. So the night sky, beautiful night. Wow, it's February, right? End of February, and we got beautiful weather. The trees are out here. Nature's here. God is here. God is amongst us, right? Got this beautiful land out here, and the air. I can feel the spirit. The light's on. I can't see the moon. It's a little overcast, but you know, it's been a good night. So, again, my friends, I hope we'll have more. I hope that we continue to be able to share some time, the time we have, and treasure that. And smoke them if you got them, my friends. All right, love you all. Bye bye.